Okay, great. Now you saw how to draw squares, not just regular straight squares, but also some tilted squares, and you found areas of those. Now we're going to move on from squares to the opposite of that, square roots. So I have a question for you. What does square root of x mean? What does the square root of x mean? I know you saw these square root symbols in map testing a lot, but what does the square root mean? And how does it relate to x squared? That's a big question that we are going to answer today, these two questions. Okay, to work on that, let's say you have a square which is 2 by 2, 2 by 2 units. We know the area of this would be 4 square units, right? 2 times 2, that's 4 square units. Because the length of each side is 2, so the total area would be length times width, which is 2 by 2, so 4, right? We know this because we can count 2 on one side and count 2 on the other side, and we're multiplying to find the area. Another way to find the area of this is to find the square root of 4. How do you find the square root of 4? To find the square root of 4, we have to find a number which when multiplied by itself will give you 4. If you think about it, go back to your multiplication tables, we all know 2 times the same number gives us 4, right? So we can say that if the area is given to be 4 square units, we can find out the length of each side by taking the square root of 4, which means we will find a number which when multiplied by itself will give you 4, which is 2. Great. But another question comes up though. What about negative 2 times negative 2? That is also equal to 4, right? But to go back to our integers and integers discussion that we had in class, can the distance be negative? No, it cannot, right? That's why we actually discard these values even though it is true. And we take only the positive values because distance is always positive, okay? Only because it's length. But in general, if anybody asks you, what is the square root of 4? The answer should be positive and negative 2, because they both give you the answer of 4. Okay? But in this case, we are dealing with the length of a square, which means it cannot be negative, so we take only the positive root. Okay? So taking that an idea, what do you think the square root of 2 is? Now 4 was easy. Square root of 4 was easy. 2 times 2 is 4. But then what is the square root of 2? Do you think it's going to be greater than 1? Or is it greater than 2 as well? What do you think? I'm sure it's greater than 1 because 1 times 1 is 1. But 2 times 2 is 4. So it can't be greater than 2. So this is not applicable. Right? So it has to be between 1 and 2. Right? But where in between? So let's say we say it is 1.5. So if we say 1.5, then 1.5 times 1.5 is equal to 2.25. 2.25 is actually greater than 2. So no, this is a little too much. So we need it a little less, like a teeny bit less. So actually, we are going to say square root of 2 is going to be equal to 1.4. Great. This is how you find the closest or the approximate square root. And then you can punch this in the calculator and see it'll be very close to this. This is your approximation. So your approximation should be as close as it can to be the actual value. Does that make sense? So now with this in mind, we are going to work on exercise 2.2 in your packet, which is actually this. And we are going to work on problems A, B, C, and D. We're actually not going to work on E. Don't worry about E. But we're going to work on A through D. All right? So work on A through D. And in about 10 minutes, you can go on and see the answers for this activity. Okay? All right.